quite some time back, well, on a couple occasions, I've had a writer approach me on the possibility of, writing a story about my life. And both times I felt that I wasn't ready for that because I hadn't done what I want to do. And so finally, with my wife, Lori, we decided that this would be a time to do it, And she wanted to do it. I wanted to do it, but I didn't realize how hard it would be. But she kept, tricking me and, giving me rewards like you would a little kid. And I would tape. And she'd have to fight and fight to get me to do it, So I would tape it and tape it and tape it with her help, And so went through all these tapes and ended up with, a very good book. Like, it's so honest that it's kind of frightening in a way. And
how honest is it?
It's completely honest. There's, things in there that, well, if you read it, you'll realize that no one would ever, make up a story like some of the stories because, they're kind of far out. People just would never expose themselves that nakedly, The sexual thing, that people go through, only mine was a little more fantastic. And, I just bear everything, And the thing of playing in Carnegie Hall and then playing in San Quentin, and, just, it goes on. Everything that could happen almost has happened to me. I've tried just about everything.
Were you imbued with the, the cool school, for want of a better phrase for it out here, since you are a Californian by birth?
No, there's no, it's just, I never was any part of any cool school. It's just, that was just a label they had put, on the people that were playing in the West Coast. But, like I say, I never followed Charlie Parker because I didn't want to listen to anyone so much that they would destroy what I wanted to do for myself. And I knew that I didn't want to play like anybody else. Like all the people at that time were copying Charlie Parker solos off the records and, just ruined them, just destroyed their playing and their ability to be an individual. You don't get caught up in copying solos. I never learned any kind of solo by anybody, And these other guys did, that was their, they changed their tone to try to sound like Charlie Parker. I never purposely ever tried to play like Charlie Parker. My big influence was Lester Young.
Mm-hmm. You have been involved, and I understand would like to be involved more, in doing clinics for prospective or would-be musicians, younger musicians. What do you tell them?
I just tell them that the only way you can make it, like there's a very few people that can make it as a jazz soloist. And, that's a gift, from God or whatever. Yeah, that's just the way it is, I feel. And if you're fortunate enough to have this thing going for you, then, I try to make them recognize it and realize what they've been given and try not to destroy it like I almost did, And the way to accept what you are and where you're at and where you will go, like certain people will just be able to play in a section, saxophone section, a trumpet section. They'll never be a soloist.
Is it the lack of realization of your role? Let's say that you want to be a jazz soloist, but you are really only section material, all right? Is that the kind of thing that causes you to become unclean, if you will, to kind of go off on the deep end?
Yeah, sometimes, definitely.
Where you're not able to realize your dreams, and the pressure is too much after you've invested so much time and effort in this thing.
It's hard to accept,
You've been, the last few years have, at least from the outside looking in, have been very good for you.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Excellent, right. I never believed that I could make a real good living playing just jazz, To
what do you attribute that?
The fact that I'm one of the few, and I'm finally getting paid for royalties and recordings and things like that as a jazz musician. And, all of a sudden, everything's opened up and I can, finally be happy, and play. And my playing is changing and improving all the time. I used to think when you reached a certain age that was it, you know. But I found out that you just keep improving and improving, like, you know, with whatever's happening, you know. Like
What
you
you're really
just move
saying,
right along, you
what
know.
you're really saying is that it's more a head thing than anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're playing better when you get older and you're supposed to lose your chops and all that other stuff, and that doesn't happen, huh? Maybe
No.
it's a frame of mind.
Right. Yeah. And everything is, has been beautiful. I just knock on wood, hoping that they'll stay that way.
And we hope it will, too. Art Pepper, who would like to be remembered as an honest man. And if you read Straight Life, it's difficult to imagine how anybody who could write that could not be honest. Let's go to the stage here at the Jazz Showcase in Chicago and hear the renewed and the marvelous Art Pepper. His quartet includes Willie Pickens on piano, Steve Rodby on bass, and drummer Wilbur Campbell. The Art Pepper Quartet, opening their set with an old Pepper favorite, a tune he composed for the Kenton Band back in the 40s and resurrected for this performance. It's called Pepper Pot.